Testing, 1, 2, 3.
Testing, 1, 2, 3.
You are now listening to the Backlook Cinema Podcast with Zach and Zoe. Thank you for joining us as we talk about the movies of yesteryear. You can reach us on Instagram, Facebook, or Twitter by searching for Backlook Cinema. Check our show notes for more info, and now, let's get it in.
This is Zach.
And this is Alonzo, and thank you for joining us once again. Thank you for joining us here at the Backlook Cinema Podcast with Zach and Zoe. And the reason we started this podcast, this 13th episode of this here show, is that I wanted to strengthen the bond between father and son. So we watched movies together that I loved when I was growing up, and then we get an evaluation from Generation X/Z. No, Generation, what is your generation?
I'm between Z and millennials.
Okay, we get the millennial perspective. Yeah, we watch movies, we talk about it on this show, and we enjoy ourselves with the chat. We hope that you enjoy it too.
Also, you can get t-shirts, hoodie, mugs, face masks, and a bunch of other items at our website, backlookcinema.com.
Also at backlookcinema.com, you can leave us a direct feedback, comments, suggestions, etc. We have a brand new email address, fanmail at backlookcinema.com. So if you want to drop us a line, you can do so at fanmail@backlookcinema.com.
And please, if you like our show, then rate and review us on Apple Podcasts or whatever podcast app that you might be using.
Yes, so what, my son, have you been up to?
I've been playing my mobile games, watching TV, playing on PlayStation 4.
So you've almost fully transitioned to the mobile games.
I mean, no, I always been on mobile games. It's just that there's nothing else to do but to be on my phone and TV.
Right. So have you been looking for work, or has your old job called you back or anything like that?
No, I'm just waiting for him to call me back, and I have been looking, even though there's no point of me looking because, people aren't really that into hiring at the moment.
Right. And it's kind of dangerous to be out there anyway. So the other thing, what was the other thing I wanted to ask you? Do you have any interest in the Xbox Game Pass?
No, not at all. Not really.
Not right now. Have you heard the news about that?
Oh, yeah, I heard they jacked the price and then they backed down. It was like, oh, we're sorry. You can keep the Xbox Gold. Yeah, we're sorry. That was our fault. We didn't know you would be that upset. We didn't think about it. Of course, they don't think about it.
Yeah,
I was like,
they didn't get upset about people.
We're gonna up the price for Xbox Gold just so we can push you on the Game Pass. And people was like, no, bad enough you had me paying for this nonsense just to play games, but on PC I can do that for free as long as I pay for my internet. No, I gotta pay the subscription and internet just to play my games online.
Right.
Why would I want to pay $180 for a Game Pass that I might not be using for a bunch of games I won't be really downloading?
Right. It's like there are people like that are like, man, all I play is Madden. I don't mess with no other games. Your cousin like that, he plays professionally, and basically he just plays NBA 2K and Madden.
I know, he just played Madden.
Right.
I've been to his house before, all they had was Madden. I'm like,
right.
Where are the other games at?
Right. Hey, they don't mess with what you call it? None of the fighting games. They don't mess with none of the shooting games. It's all Madden all the time. So, what mobile games you playing?
At the moment, the mobile games I've been playing was, I went back to Dragon Ball Legends, the Gundam building game, another game called Modern Ops. Basically, it's a shooter game. You don't really have to fire the gun. It automatically does it for you. And an idle game was based around Pokemon. Yes, it is actual Pokemon that they're using. No, it's not supported by the Pokemon company. So, yeah.
Yeah, so you wilding out.
Yeah, you can say that.
Did you do your homework assignment?
No, I did not do my homework assignment because I keep forgetting that because I don't want to do none of that.
Well, as soon as I leave, you need to go ahead and do your homework assignment. Do you remember what your homework assignment was?
I remember something about Queen Latifah.
Yes, you're supposed to listen to some Queen Latifah.
I forgot the other one.
And
oh well.
It's Cher. Cher, do you believe in love? Just basically just that one song. And interesting news about Queen Latifah. The reason I brought that up. And when I say listen to Queen Latifah, what I really mean is listen to her original albums that came out. Like when she first broke off into the scene, she was doing rap albums. So that's what I want you to listen to. Later on, she ventured on into singing, and she has a great singing voice. She was actually in what was that? The song Under the Sea. What was that? The Little Mermaid.
I want to say The Little Mermaid.
Yeah, she was in a live version of The Little Mermaid. She was singing her heart out. And she was also in the movie Chicago, which is a movie musical. So and she was great in that. And she's there. A lot of her recent stuff is that she's been concentrating on her singing. But for real, you want to go where her origin story is in rap music. She was one of the original female rappers back in the time where the female rappers needed to sound like men in order to break into the business. So that's where I want you to start. So and the reason I bring up Queen Latifah, because I just found out that she's going to be in The Equalizer, this show called The Equalizer, and she's going to be in that. So do you know what The Equalizer is?
No.
So Equalizer, this would be like, I'm guessing, the third reboot. Well, maybe it's the fourth. So when I first encountered The Equalizer, it was originally a TV series, and it was a white dude, and basically he was kind of like ex-FBI, CIA or something like that. And he just does justice for regular people. He just goes out in the street doing justice. So that was that show. I never watched that show, but I was aware that it was on. And then Denzel Washington, he played the Equalizer in 2 movies. The first movie being better than the second. And now Queen Latifah is going to revise the role in the TV shows. Now she's the Equalizer. And the previews I saw, they actually look pretty good. They actually make her look like she's a fighter and she can cause some problems. So that I thought that was, I just found out today, and that was some it was interesting take. It's like maybe I'll watch a couple episodes, see how that go. So what else you been doing? That's it?
Yeah, that's it.
I mean, there's a boatload of PS2 games and PS3 games that you can play. You ain't trying to play those games?
I get to when I get to it.
And then there's you might as well take your time now, because it's like when you start working, you ain't gonna be able to do it. And then there's also the what do you call them? Those small Nintendo consoles.
Talking about Nintendo Switch?
No, the Nintendo Mini, the Super Nintendo Mini and the NES Mini.
Oh, the NES Mini SNES.
Right. Yeah, you might as well dive into those games.
I'll get to it when I get to it.
I think one of them have Star Fox too. I tried to play Star Fox 2 in that one, and that was not working for me. I was like, no, that's why they didn't release it in the US, because the control scheme is difficult. So I finally finished Rambo First Blood. Actually, it's just called First Blood. I finished that book. It wasn't that long to begin with, and turns out it's a tragedy, because everybody dies at the end. Of course, they didn't want to do that for the movie. And the movie, they wanted, because when they made the movie, they realized that it was a potential for a series. It could be a franchise. They could have a number of sequels. So there's like, nah, the main character can't die, then we can't do the sequel. So that's why we have like Rambo 6. But it worked. The story was pretty good. It's a pretty good story. It's pretty much the movie and from the movie. I'm sorry, the story from the movie and the book, more or less the same, and it was rather satisfactory. So, but that's really the only thing, except for the other podcasts I listen to. That's really it. Nothing special. And I finally figured out how to play the downloaded content from Outer Worlds called Perils of Gorgon. I finally figured that out, because that was mysterious. I don't know why I have to go online to figure out how to play DLC. That's not fair. That's not right. Who decided all that? Why can't I just download it and to be able to play it? Why can't I just download it and it shows up on the menu? Why do I have to go online to figure that out? You tell me.
I don't know. Maybe because all you had to do was just go in a game. Maybe because they don't always put the DLC in a different subtext of the game. It's just always just in the main game itself.
Yeah, I guess I'm not used to downloading DLC. It's annoying. It's annoying when it doesn't show up on the menu. But anyways, figure that out. I'm enjoying that. There's a lot more shooting in this version. There's no negotiation. Everybody has
Good.
to die.
Yeah, that's a good thing. That's the whole point.
It's no sneaking around. Just it's just everybody that you see you eventually have to kill. And then for the first time I had to put armor on my in this game is the main character, and you get 2 companion characters. And for the first time I actually put armor on my companion characters because the bad guys were just murking us all. So I was like, they're gonna have to have upgraded armor because the armor, their regular clothes, their default clothing, it's not working at all. So ever since I did all, and then I upgraded their weapons. So ever since I did all of that, we're not having any problems. And then I'm playing 3D Sniper, just slowly progressing in the game. I guess my goal is to progress in the game without spending any money. And I'm just gonna get killed a lot because they can spend their money. I am not willing to spend my money.
You'll be fine.
Yeah, I should hope so. And ooh, shoot, I done took my glasses off. Now I can't see what we're supposed to do next. Let's see. I guess we're going to talk about the movie. What movie was it that we had seen?
Raiders of the Lost Ark.
Raiders of the Lost Ark. And that is also known, in the updated title, it is known as Indiana Jones and the Raiders of the Lost Ark. But when it was originally released, it was called Raiders of the Lost Ark. That's where my heart lies. That's what I'm gonna call it. His mama named him Clay. I'm gonna call him Clay.
Okay, so in 1936, archaeologist and the adventurer Indiana Jones is hired by the U.S. government to find the Ark of the Covenant before Adolf Hitler's Nazi can obtain its awesome powers.
It's awesome power. This movie was released June 12th, 1981 by Paramount. It grossed over $248 million in the U.S., $389 million worldwide. In today's dollars, that would be $1,096,669,952. That's a blockbuster. Legitimately, that is a blockbuster by every definition of the word. This movie took the world by storm. Everybody was on that Indiana Jones joint. And this is all on an $18 million budget. It grossed worldwide over $300 million on an $18 million budget. That's absolutely outstanding. And it got great reviews. As a matter of fact, when I was looking up reviews on Rotten Tomatoes that we will talk about later on this segment, I could not find the bad reviews. Like not one squashy green tomatoes on Rotten Tomatoes. It was like none.
Of course, they loved it too much. And they know if they ever try to hate it, they will have a horde of Indiana Jones fans knocking at their door.
No, not necessarily, because Star Wars, I don't think the original Star Wars got that much love. None of the prequels got that much love. It's really just
it's completely different. That's why.
Yeah, it's different, but still, a lot of the same players that made Indiana Jones made Star Wars. But it's just a phenomenal movie. It's a movie that everybody loved, and this movie starred Harrison Ford as Indiana Jones. Also, coincidentally, who was in Star Wars. He's also in the Jack Ryan movies, Patriot Games, and Clear and Pleasant Danger. We had talked about this when we talked about that movie with the submarine. What was it? The Hunt for the Red October? So that was the first Jack Ryan film that was played by Alec Baldwin. And then they decided they always wanted Harrison Ford to play Jack Ryan. So they got him for the other 2 movies, Patriot Games and Clear and Pleasant Danger. And he's also in The Fugitives. Then you have Karen Allen. She plays Marion, the love interest. And she was in Starman, Scrooged, and Malcolm X. And of those, probably only Malcolm X might go on that list. You also had Paul Freeman. He played Belloc. And you'd never guess what role he played.
Apparently he was Ivan Ooze in the Mighty Morphin Power Rangers, the original one. And I wouldn't know because of all that makeup he had on him. You would never know.
You would never know that he played Ivan Ooze. I was like, oh my God. You have Ronald Lacey as Top. I can't remember how to pronounce his name. Anyway, he was in The Adventures of Buckaroo Banzai Across the Eighth Dimension. That's a long title. He was also in Red Sonja and Firefox. None of those are worthy of the list. I remember trying to watch The Adventures of Buckaroo Banzai and never getting it. And I would watch it over and over again to try to get it and never did and gave up on it. There's John Rhys Davies. I'm going to say John Rhys Deves. He plays Sala. That was Indiana Jones' companion in the second half of the movie. The guy that would sing every time he got happy, that dude. He played Gimli in Lord of the Rings, and for a long time, he was on the TV show called Sliders. You have Denholm Elliott. He played Brody, and he was in Trading Places. And this is noteworthy, even though he had a small part. This was his first credited role in a movie. Alfred Molina. He played Sandoval. And what did the notes say that he was on?
Spider-Man 2.
Spider-Man 2. Do you know what role he played in?
No.
You don't? You didn't recognize him? All right, think back to the beginning of the movie. This is the young dude that was with Indy. Who does he remind you of? Remember, he'd be older now. But back then, this is when he first started out. He was real young. Who does he remind you of?
I don't know. If you have put it on the paper, I'm like, oh yeah, there it is. I can definitely tell. No, I don't know.
That is Dr. Octopus. That young kid in the beginning of the movie.
Wow.
That one that was like, give me the stone and I'll throw you the rope. Or I'll throw you the whip. That was Alfred. That was Alfred Molina. And that was the one that played Doc Ock in Spider-Man 2. So this movie was directed by Steven Spielberg. And he directed a lot of stuff. I mean, he's the director's director. That's the type of director he is. Every time you see Steven Spielberg on the credit, you expect this to be an outstanding movie. Now, not all of his movies were great, but 9 times out of 10, you're gonna have some outstanding entertainment when you see the word Steven Spielberg in the title. So you got Jurassic Park, Saving Private Ryan, E.T. the Extraterrestrial, Schindler's List, Jaws, which is regarded as the first blockbuster, and Close Encounters of the Third Kind. I was fascinated with that movie, but I don't know if I've ever actually seen the movie from beginning to end. I think I've only watched like the second half of it over to the end when they're communicating with the spaceship. This was written by Lawrence Kasdan, the screenplay, and a story by George Lucas. Now, Kasdan and Lucas, they maintained their team. Kasdan wrote Star Wars, The Empire Strikes Back, Star Wars, Return of the Jedi, The Bodyguard, and Wyatt Earp. And George Lucas, he wrote American Graffiti and just Star Wars. Basically just Star Wars after that. He's a Star Wars guy. He's a one-trick pony. That's really all he knows how to do. The music, of course, is by the Honorable John Williams. Of course, he's done all of the Star Wars movies and TV shows. He did V, the TV miniseries. That was a miniseries that everybody was fascinated by. You remember V or anything about V?
Yeah, because you have his mask in your room.
Oh, do I? I didn't realize I had a mask.
How do you not realize up there just hanging on the wall? You in water?
Oh no, you're thinking about the wrong V.
Yeah.
You're thinking about V for Vendetta.
Yeah, that's what I'm thinking about. I don't know what this other V is then, so I don't know what you're coming to me for.
This V was a miniseries. And the miniseries V in the room, that mask, that stands for Vendetta. This V stands for Visitor. This was way before they thought of V for Vendetta. So basically, it's about aliens who come to Earth. And they did a remake like a few years ago. So anyway, it's about aliens who come to Earth. And they're like, we come in peace. We're peaceful aliens. We look just like you. We look human. We're friendly. But, humans, they're like, I don't know. There's something up with this joint. Something ain't quite right. So basically, they found out that these aliens were not friendly. And they were kidnapping humans and draining the oceans. Because they basically was taking over the joint. It's like, why are they kidnapping humans? Come to find out, they don't look like humans. The human that they see on the outside is kind of a mask. They rip the mask off, and it's an alien, is a lizard underneath. They're lizard people, and they're eating humans. That's why they're kidnapping humans. It's basically a to-go box so they can fly away from Earth. They have a to-go box of humans. So that was V. That was what V stood for. It stands for visitor because the aliens were visitors, and it also stands for victory because when the old Jewish guy realized what was going on, he put a V for victory because they had to be victorious over the aliens. So anyways, I went on too long about that. He also did the Superman movies from the 1980s, with Christopher Reeve, and he did Jaws. So he did some of the most iconic music of our lifetime. This movie was produced by Neil H. Moritz. Now, I didn't do any research on him. I'm sure he's a pretty nice guy. I don't even think he was an executive producer. I think the EP was one of the Marshalls, something Marshall. I can't remember the name. The Marshall that's related to Penny Marshall, who was on Laverne and Shirley. That Marshall, you know what I'm talking about. That's the main Marshall we talk about. I got this information off of IMDb. I must not have read it correctly. Otherwise, I would put the Marshall name on here, not this Neil H. Moritz guy. I can't see how he's important. So anyway, I didn't do any research on him. I don't know who he is. If you want to find out more about him, I invite you to do so. Anyways, so you got any news messages or anything?
Yeah. So we're gonna go on a short break, and we'll be right back to talk about our favorite parts of the movie, some movie trivia, and find out what some critics' thoughts.
Hello, my name is Rich Hardson, Executive Director of Omni Consumer Products Logistics Division. I'm pleased to announce that OCP is coming to Detroit. Together with the Mayor and City Council, we'll be making a new Detroit. We will be working with the city and her citizens with our advanced technology and forward-thinking crime-fighting techniques to reduce crime, poverty, and in the process, create thousands of new jobs for the people of the city. We project exponential growth in Detroit, and we can do it for your city as well. If you want to reduce crime, poverty, and create employment opportunities for your area, then contact your city council, mayor, county executive, or your sheriff's office today. Let them know that you want OCP to do for your city what OCP is doing for Detroit. Thank you. OCP.
And we're back. Thank you for joining us back here on the Backlook Cinema Podcast with Zach and Zoe. We're about to get into the trivia of the thing. And the thing about Raiders of the Lost Ark, a lot of stuff happened on this movie. There's a lot of trivia. I didn't get to it all. There's trivia that I remember from when they talked about the film that I didn't even put on this list. There's just so much of the stuff. This episode might run a little long because there's so much trivia. But we got to get into it. We got to get into the meat and potatoes of some of this stuff. There's so many interesting facts.
But before we get into that, we have to talk about the favorite parts.
Yes. Let's do that. Let's talk about our favorite parts before we get into the trivia section. So, Zachary, what are your favorite parts of this movie?
The beginning of the movie when Indiana Jones is running towards this plane trying to catch it so he doesn't get caught by the people that are trying to snipe him with arrows and spears.
Right. That was funny. And as he was running to the plane, he's like, start the plane! Start the plane!
Which is something that Family Guy did as a parody.
Oh, they did do that as a parody?
Yeah, they did, because there was Chris basically left the United States because he didn't like being a freshman in high school. And so he went to some island to live with some people, people that, don't deal with internet or anything like that. So they went there, the family went to go get him. Then when his identity was revealed as him being a freshman, they basically chased him off the island. And they're running, they're like, start the plane. They all get in a plane. And it was like, where's Meg? She got caught. She got hit with so many arrows. I'm like, yep.
Right.
Yeah, they would do that to her.
Right.
Another good one where basically both snake scenes, the first one was in the plane. Indiana gets in the plane, and he's like, there's a snake in the plane. He's like, oh yeah, that's my pet. I'm like, why? Why is it in that seat anyway? Out of all the seats, why is it in that one?
Right. There's a lot of trivia involving the snakes. He's like, I hate snakes. I hate them.
And then the second one is when they find the right tomb for the Ark, and when they look down, he's like, why did it have to be snakes?
Right.
It's like, yeah,
Solo
why
was
does
like,
it have
you
to
first.
Yeah, you first. Yeah. Why does it have to be snakes of all things to be down there still?
Right.
Another good scene was when they're in the city and they start fighting the people that's coming after them, and you have that one dude with one sword is swinging it around, and he's like, I'm not dealing with this. Pulls out a gun, shoots it.
Right.
And it's like, wow, you did all that sword swinging,
Right.
and you just got shot, and he just like, I'm not dealing with that. I don't want to.
Well, this is the trivia. That's a great part. And here's the trivia revolving around that one. This is not. I didn't write this one down. So the day when they filmed that scene, it's supposed to be a whole fight scene. It was supposed to be Indiana versus the dude with the giant sword, right?
Yeah.
So, but the actor Harrison Ford, he wasn't feeling well that day, and so he was like, he couldn't. He had the flu or something, but he couldn't do the fight. He's like, he couldn't physically do it, and he was doing most of his own stunts. And the way they wanted to film the fight, they really couldn't do it with a stunt person. So he was like, how about if I just shoot him? It was like, yeah, let's do that.
Which worked out.
It worked out incredibly well.
Another good one was when they're trying to, stop. Basically, the Nazi has the plane. They're gonna like, okay, we got to stop the plane from taking off, whatever. So they go there. Indy's sneaking around. There's one guy stops him. He fights him. Then you have this other guy. It's like, oh, bet he's fighting. Ha ha ha. And he has a handlebar mustache. Takes off his shirt. Goes in and he's like, as he's on the plane, he turns around. He's like, I don't even want to fight this dude.
Right. You forgot to mention this dude is gigantic.
Yeah, he's gigantic with muscle. He's like, I don't want to fight this dude. He's going to beat me down the pole. I don't got time for this.
And to his credit, he do try to throw a couple of punches, but the dude, he just popped him with a weak jab, and it just knocks him on his ass.
He's like, yep, I got to deal with this. And so, they're fighting. His companion that's with him, he gets in the plane, which sets the lid on the plane sets on her, so she's trapped inside. And because he basically took the little stoppers on the wheels of the plane off, to stop the plane from moving, the plane starts spinning around. So you have Indy on the floor fighting a man, going around the plane as the plane is spinning around, as she's in there shooting at Nazis because they're like, what's going on over here?
Right, she's shooting at Nazi because the part of the plane she got trapped in was a gun report. So she wasn't even in the pilot section. She was in a gun port. And so she shoots and she's in a gun port. She might as well just shoot at the Nazis.
Yeah. And as she's, as that's going on, she hits an oil canister or whatever. That starts leaking.
It was probably some kind of fuel container.
That starts leaking. She blows something up. There's fire there. And then she's like, Indy, you got to hurry up and get me out. Because as you can see, there's fire over there. There's oil over there. So, you make the connection.
Right.
And it's like, oh, yeah, I do have to hurry up. And as they're still fighting, the first guy that Indy knocks out, he gets up. He notices it. He's like, I'm out of here. He runs away. And then Indy notices that the plane propellers are coming close to him. And also, by the way, he does sneak by the propellers while they're spinning. I'm like, I feel like that shouldn't even they're not spinning fast, but still that's dangerous for him to do, but whatever, you know. As they're coming towards him and the big man, Indy's on the ground. He turns around. The big guy looks and he's like, why is he ducking? He looks and notices a paint pillar is coming close. He's like, well, he's gone. and he goes save his partner, gets out, and I was like, oh yeah, plane exploded. And then I remember there's a guy in that plane. So yeah, that's another one gone.
Yeah, I thought that guy had left. He was still in the plane?
Yeah, he only got knocked out.
Oh, right.
That's all she did was knock him out. He was still in the plane. The only one that left was the one that was on the ground that got knocked out.
Right. Yeah, a lot of Nazis died during the making of this movie.
I mean, makes sense.
Oh, what else do you remember?
It's basically the end of the movie where, again, this is another thing that the Family Guy did. And he's like, so where you put the ark? He's like, oh, it's being covered by top men. Who? Top men.
Right.
And then Family Guy, yeah. Peter had to do with what's his name? Can't remember. James Woods. And they basically put him in a box. And then Laura's like, so what happened to James Woods? Oh, he's being handled by top men. Who? Top man. And then he just goes to a scene where he's being rolled away in a container by one dude in a place where there's a bunch of other boxes.
Right. Just it looked like an infinite number of boxes.
Yeah, and I'm like,
Now, what's interesting, like, obviously, this is not going on the list because it's too recently, and it's not really a great film, which is an example of Steven Spielberg and George Lucas both making a bad movie, and Indiana Jones and the Kingdom of the Crystal Skull.
I already seen that. What do you mean?
Yeah, but it's still not a great movie. But anyways, one of the things that they did do was they had a little Easter egg when they're in a warehouse and there's a bunch of
I noticed that. I made that connection. I was like, wait a minute.
Right.
Don't tell me that's the same place.
Right.
Wow.
Yeah, they knock over one of the crates and you can see one of the golden wings of the lid of the Ark of the Covenant. So yeah. And what's interesting is like when they do the professor scene and he's trying to teach his class, and you notice there was just mostly females in his class.
Yep.
Yeah, they all had the hots for him.
I was like, yeah, that's all the reason why you're in that classroom.
Right. So I don't. Yeah, that's the only reason the girls are in that classroom. So yeah, it was like just maybe a couple of guys, but it was like all female because that one girl had written "Love You" or something like that on her
eyelid, and she just blinks, and he's getting distracted. I'm like, no,
right. He's trying to get y'all some knowledge, and y'all nonsensing around. I liked when they was doing the exposition scene when they was talking about the Ark of the Covenant, because had I seen the movie, I would have seen it was like, oh, so that's what an Ark is. Because I had told you earlier that when I saw the title of the film, it was totally confusing to me. Raiders of the Lost Ark. Why are they raiding? What is an ark? I don't get it. I know Noah's Ark. I don't understand what this Ark of the Covenant is. But yeah, so that they did the exposition scene very well, and I really enjoyed that. And when they was talking about how the description of the Ark of the Covenant, the Ark of the Covenant is basically a box that holds the broken pieces of the 10 Commandments that God gave to Moses. Now, what's interesting is that there are descriptions in the Bible for what the Ark looks like. So it's like, and he shows them a picture, but there's a written description of the Ark itself. Also, a written description of what the robes that the priest is supposed to be wearing when he's presiding over whatever ceremonies that they have when they're dealing with the Ark of the Covenant. So I thought that was all interesting. I'm glad they included all that. Plus, all the action sequences, those are all just great. Like the very beginning of the movie, the iconic scene where Indiana Jones he gets the idol off of the pedestal, and then he has to run away from the stone. And like those are all great scenes. It's like anytime they talk about Indiana Jones, they always show this scene, either that scene where he's stealing the idol or the scene where he's running away from the boulder. And it's been satirized in multitude of media. The part that you mentioned before when the dude was swinging his sword and Indiana Jones just shoots him. What you call it? Now I'm getting lost. With the part where Indiana Jones is all beat up and hurt, and his love interest Marion is there, and she's like, "Well, Indy, where doesn't it hurt?" And he points to his elbow. He's like, "Here," and she kisses his elbow, and he's here and kisses his forehead, and he works his way down to his lips. That was a clever scene. Also, the scene where Marion is in her bar when she's first introduced, and they're having a drinking contest, and and she drinks the dude under the table. That was a cool scene. The dude that played when the bad guys first break in, you had the dude that was wearing all black.
Yeah.
So I like that whole thing. He had that weird voice. He was menacing all the time. So his story arc where he's after the object that what do you call it? That I'm trying to think of the medallion. He's after the medallion that she owns. He happens to see it. He tries to grab it, but it's been burning in fire. So when he grabs it full on with his hand, it burns his hands. He goes running out. And then later on, Indy and company find out that they know where the city is. But they haven't found the Ark yet, or the Well of Souls where the Ark is contained. but they found the city, and he can't figure out why they found the city. And as it turns, or why they, how they started digging through the city already. And as it turns out, later on, you find out that the dude, when he grabbed the medallion, he burned the entire medallion on one side on his hands. So that's how they was able to find what they were looking for. So all that, I just like the way all that was put together. The snake scenes, as you said, the fighting near the end, it was all a well put together movie.
Yeah, I agree.
So do you have anything more to add?
No, that's all.
Okay. So now we go.
Yes, now we're going to the trivia.
Now that we go to the trivia.
When Brody first goes to Indy's house to discuss the mission, Jones is dressed the way he is because he is entertaining a young woman in his bedroom. The script originally planned to show her before moving to the next scene to give Indy a more worldly persona, like James Bond. However, her appearance was cut as Steven Spielberg thought that being a playboy did not fit Indy's character.
And he was right. I'm glad he cut that. So when the scene they're talking about is like, this is after they talk about the Ark. It's like in the classroom. The guy comes to class and talks to Indy, and then later on you see in his apartment he's dressed in an evening robe.
Yeah.
Right. So they was like, at first they was gonna have a lady there, and they was like, nah, we don't want to do that. So I thought that was good that they did that. Freeze framing during the Well of Soul scene, you can notice a golden pillar with a tiny engraving of R2-D2 and C-3PO from the Star Wars saga. They were also on the wall behind Indy when they first approached the Ark.
Yeah, that's just breaking rules right there.
They do that a lot in these movies.
Indy's line to Marin when they are on the ship, it's not the year, honey, it's the mileage. Was ad-libbed by Harrison Ford.
Right. While filming the snake scene inside the Well of Souls, a python bit first assistant director David Timlin's hand and would let go. Tomlin calmly asked someone to grab the python, still attached to Tomlin's hand by the tail, and whip it so that the snap was in a wave up the snake's body and force it to let go. A stagehand did just that. The python released its bite on Tomlin's hand, and Tomlin got medical attention. The python itself was not injured.
Jeez, no.
If you know anything about pythons, biting is not their main form of attack.
Yeah, they just strangle you first and then swallow you whole.
Right. They're more, they like to give you love and attention.
During filming in Tunisia, nearly everyone in the cast and crew got sick except director Steven Spielberg. It is thought that he avoided illness by eating only the food he brought with him. A lot of cans of SpaghettiOs.
He was sitting there in his director's chair like,
he's like, what's wrong with you guys? Oh, we had some of the people's food.
Like,
that's your first mistake. Guess what I bought? What? SpaghettiOs.
He was like, that must have been delicious. I'm here. I'm eating these SpaghettiOs. Y'all enjoy that local food. That's probably why Harrison Ford was sick that day in the sword fight. That's actually funny. Traditionally, when one of his films is about to open, George Lucas goes on vacation to get away from all the hoopla. As Star Wars Episode 4, I'm reading Roman numerals. As Star Wars Episode 4, A New Hope, 1977, was just about to open, Lucas went to Hawaii, where he was joined by Steven Spielberg. When the grosses of Lucas's film came in and it was clear that it was going to be a hit, Lucas relaxed and was able to discuss other topics with his friend. It was at this point that Spielberg confessed he always wanted to direct a James Bond film, to which Lucas replied he had a much better idea, an adventure movie called Raiders of the Lost Ark. The conversation happened while the two were making a sandcastle. After their trip, they got together and developed the script with Lawrence Kasdan. See how beautiful that is?
This man going on vacation. He's like, you know what? As the movie release, I'm going to be somewhere else. Y'all enjoy the movie.
Right.
Jeez.
Because he's super nervous about it. So he doesn't want to be around that. He doesn't want to be around any negativity, just in case negativity happens.
Oh, okay. The out-of-control airplane actually ran over Harrison Ford's knee, tearing a ligament in his left leg. Luckily for him, the heat had turned the rubber tire soft, so it did not crush the bone. Rather than submit to Tenacia healthcare, Ford had his knee wrapped in ice and carried on.
Right. It was
Interesting.
Like, we're in Tunisia. I was like, I don't trust these
I was
doctors.
like,
Wrap it
no,
up.
oh, they got sick. No, thank you. Just give me ice and wrap it. I'm good. See?
Right. He was like, I'm good. I'll be all right. Indiana Jones' hat came from the famous Herbert Johnson hat shop in Savile Row, London. The hat was the shop's poet model. On the bonus features DVD, costume designer Deborah, that's a good one. That's a good name. Nadulman has said that in order to properly age the hat, she grabbed it and twisted the hat. Then she and Harrison Ford both sat on it and eventually looked like a very lived-in, very loved hat.
The last line to be added to the script was, Deitch?
Oh, let's see. I think it was Dietrich.
I am uncomfortable with the Jewish ritual.
Do you remember that scene?
Yeah, that's basically near the end of the movie.
Right.
Because after reading through the scripts, the screenwriters realized that there was no mention of Jews or the Nazis hating of them.
Right.
Yeah, of course that wouldn't make sense. Like, wait, why would the Nazis even hate them? Nah, get rid of that.
Right. It was like, wait a minute, we're going after, we're like deep in the Jewish religion, and we haven't addressed that, and they're Nazis and they're exterminating the Jews. We need to mention this in the movie. So although Nazis, this is an interesting one. Although the Nazis speak German in many scenes, most of the lines were dubbed for the German version of the film because the actors spoke very bad German with a very strong American accent. Some lines were simply wrong. In a recent DVD release, no German lines were wrong. The majority of the German lines seemed to be spoken by native German speakers with a light South German accent. So this is probably in a version that we saw, because I'm pretty sure, because they have the new title, so they updated it.
The sacred idol of Hoviatos?
Let me see. Let me take a stab at it.
Hovitos, of which Dr. Jones takes possession at the beginning of the film, is apparently a fertility goddess. It is a molten image of a woman squatting down and giving birth. You wouldn't never tell because of how much they're moving it around.
Not really. When you first see it, because it's like after I read this trivia, obviously, if you haven't read it and you didn't know about it, you're not really paying that much attention. But it almost seems like you can see a little head between the idol's legs. It's like, oh, she is giving birth. John Williams actually written 2 themes for the film. He played them both for Steven Spielberg on piano, and Spielberg loved them so much he suggested that Williams use both of them. He did, and the result was the famous Raiders March performed by the London Symphony Orchestra, who did not perform in any more Indiana Jones films. The march has become one of the most popular movie themes of all times. So he was like, Steven Spielberg said, why can't it be both?
Like, just use both. They're amazing. You don't need to choose.
Right.
During the Well of the Soul scenes, snake handler Stephen Edge served as the double for Marion's legs. According to Edge, Karen Allen's stunt double refused to stand in amongst the snakes. Steven Spielberg offered him the chance by asking if he was willing to save his legs and put on a dress for the scene in which Indy is face-to-face with a hooded cobra. Ed says snakes handlers introduced the cobras to Hood with a toy rabbit held just out of frame. Edge noted that unlike Indiana, Harrison Ford is not afraid of snakes.
Yeah, he's a better man than I, because I'm like the character Indiana Jones when it comes to snakes.
I would love to have a pet snake.
I don't do snakes. We used to talk about they used a toy rabbit to induce the cobra to hood, because cobras, they don't always have their hoods up. Otherwise it just looks like regular snakes. But when they feel threatened, they hood up, and they got that classic cobra shape. So an interesting thing I was watching on YouTube was I don't know, either I read it or I watched it on YouTube. I can't remember, but they think that it was the humans that kind of encouraged the cobra to evolve into that particular function. At least maybe not the hood function, but the spitting function, because the hood usually serves as a warning, and then they're the only snakes that spit their venom. So on their fangs, they actually have like tiny holes that are on the front of the fangs. Like most snakes have the holes at the tip of their fangs, so that when they bite you, they can inject the venom that way. But cobras have holes in the front of their fangs, so when they eject the venom, it goes out. It goes, forward, and they can, they're really trying to hit you in the eye, which could cause serious issues and complications. And so they did some research where they study ancient peoples and the cobras, and they're suggesting that cobras may have evolved specifically to spit at people. It's like, yeah, I'm doing this for you because you suspect.
It makes sense. Fine,
Right.
I agree with that.
Indy being dragged under and then out behind the moving truck is a tribute to Yakimic Koenig's famous stunt in John Ford's Stagecoach, 1939. In fact, it was a stunt that stuntman Terry Leonard had failed to pull off a year before in The Legend of the Lone Ranger, 1981. He was thrilled as a chance of having another shot at it, but only agreed to do it if his friend, colleague Glenn Randall Jr. was driving. The truck was specially constructed to be further off the ground than normal to allow clearance for Indiana Jones to pass underneath safely. And the center of the road was also dug out. In the great movie stunts, Raiders of the Lost Ark in 1981, we see on the camera slate that the camera was set at 20 frames per second instead of the traditionally 24. In other words, the shots were done in fast motion, so the truck was not really moving as fast as depicted on screen. Harrison Ford was actually dragged behind the truck for some of the shots, badly bruised his ribs. When asked if he was worried, Ford quipped, "No, if it was really dangerous, they would have filmed more of the film first."
Yeah, they would have. It was like, oh yeah, this is dangerous. Let's do this scene first, and then we'll just input it in later.
Right. Well, I think what happened is that they try to say the most dangerous stuff will last. So if they accidentally kill their star, well, at least most of the movie is done. But see, that's really not the type of work that he should have been doing. He really should have let a stunt double do that. And I'm pretty sure that later on in his movies, as he started to get older, he did less of that.
That's
work.
what Tom Cruise does. He's like, I'm doing my own stunts. I don't need no stunt double. I'm Tom Cruise.
Jackie Chan, they're all crazy.
I could give Jackie Chan the pass. He trained. He
not
has
really. They all
has martial arts experience. Okay?
Yeah,
he's a martial artist.
They all do some type of training, but still, stunt work is not martial arts work. It's not the same thing. If you're doing like stunt fighting, that's one thing. And if you're saying that Jackie Chan's doing his own stunt fighting, then that makes sense. But jumping from a boat to boat or jumping off rooftops, man, that ain't what martial artists do. That's not martial arts. You ain't trained for that. He's just crazy. But I commend him for trying. But that's not what you want to do. Anyways, let's see what the critics thinks. So Rotten Tomatoes critics gave it 95%. Audience gave it a 96%. This is a beloved movie. On Metacritic, even Metacritic was like, okay, we do 85%. Which is weird. It's still mysteriously low, but still even they was like, yeah, 85%. So Larry Viticos of the Philadelphia Gay News wrote, Raiders is a cliffhanger in every sense of the word. The action and suspense never let up, aided by a clever script and an exhilarating directorial hand of Spielberg. Sarah Boslaw of the Arts, I'm not exactly sure how to say that. I think it's the Art Still. Let's say it's the Art Still. She wrote, if you only seen one more recent film and find them somewhat wanting, you owe it to yourself to check out the original to see how fresh and original these blockbuster films once felt. As I said, could not find a negative review. So we're just going to soldier on. Peter Ackroyd of The Spectator wrote, "It is intensely watchable with the relentless accumulation of effects used here for the purpose of eliciting suspense rather than provoking comedy." And finally, Jeannie Kermode wrote, she's from Eye for Film, "With an unforgettable opening sequence in which our hero flees through a trap-filled tunnel from a great ball of rock, Raiders of the Lost Ark is a film which wastes no time and never lets go of our attention." And that is a fact. So Raiders of the Lost Ark was a wonderful film. What did you think of it?
It was real good.
Yes. It really stands the test of time. It is a movie by which most other blockbusters are measured. And it was just, I couldn't wait to show. I kept threatening to show you this movie. And you kept saying no, but I threatened. I was like, yeah, I'm going to do it. I'm going to show it to you. So, you know, I finally did it. It was like there were a bunch of movies that I considered. There was Wesley Snipes' Passenger 57. There was Young Guns with a bunch of young actors. There was maybe I would show a Steven Seagal movie because we hadn't gotten to him yet. We've done 3 of the pillars of action movie stars: Arnold Schwarzenegger, Sylvester Stallone, and Jean-Claude Van Damme. Even though we hadn't done a Jean-Claude Van Damme movie on the podcast, but the one is see, there you go, making noise with a microphone. Yeah. But so the one like classic action movie star that we hadn't got to is Steven Seagal. So maybe we'll do one of those movies next week. I'm not exactly sure, but I had fun talking about this movie. It's one of my favorite movies, and you said you liked it, right?
Yep.
Oh, okay. So maybe we'll watch Indiana Jones and Temple of Doom. We'll get to that. And that was a great movie also. Yeah.
Or not, you know.
No, that is that. It's funny, right? Because it's a darker movie. It's a darker movie than this movie. And, you know, I enjoyed it. I didn't realize it was darker. But later on, Steven Spielberg made Indiana Jones and I'm trying to think it has something to do with Jesus Christ. Indiana Jones and Jesus Christ. So he made that movie as an apology for Indiana Jones Temple of Doom because he thought it was too dark. Indiana Jones and the Last Crusade. I knew I would remember it. So anyways, but that's down the line. I don't want to do 3 Indiana Jones movies in a row. I want to skip around. I want to bob and weave. I want to, do the footwork,
No, stop. This isn't boxing. Stop it.
So anyway, thank you for joining us here at the Backlook Cinema Podcast with Zach and Zoe. Please go ahead and leave a comment or a review at Apple Podcasts. Please don't hesitate to contact us at backlookcinema.com or at our new email address, fanmail@backlookcinema.com. And I'm trying to put together a Twitch channel. I didn't get a chance to put up the video of Zachary beat the crap out of me in Mortal Kombat. I'll put that out as soon as I can. We're working on some new designs for the merch store. I'm working on the design right now. I just haven't finished it. So I'm going to put that out as soon as possible. Thank you so much for joining us. Y'all have a great time.